It looks like it.
You know, a 7-layer salad or something.
All right, it's 7 o'clock, and I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order with 5 members present. First thing is item 2.01, approve the agenda.
So move.
Second.
It's been moved by Dennis, seconded by David, that we approve the agenda. If there's no discussion, all those in favor raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. 3.01, receive comments from the public. And Teresa, no one signed up yet, have they tonight? Okay. Then we'll move on to 4.01, which is a Richard Smith report. If you want to approach the podium, please.
I think this is the quickest I ever got to me.
Couldn't wait.
Move you to the first spot, Richard.
There you go.
When you're number one, you're always first.
There you go. That's right. Actually, I don't have a presentation for action item tonight. I just wanted to give you a quick update of kind of where we're at with the modulars, the breezeway, and the roof at Eugene Field. The modular, I'm still working with Doug Lloyd, the architect here in town, on producing the proper site, what the city is requiring for a site plan. Mountain Homes, the original person that was going to sell us the used or new quad or modulars, is helping us come up with some certified, hopefully, plans that the city will pass, that we won't have to go to an engineer to redo. That would save us a substantial amount of money. But the rest of the work, I've talked with Performance and the Servetus Plumbing here in town, and they are in the process of getting me, well, Performance has got me the price, Servetus has not gotten me the price yet, but as soon as we get those things all put together, I'll be able to get the permit from the city and be able to schedule some dates then and move forward. But I feel pretty good about the timeline right now, and hopefully it will continue to do so. The breezeway, we've got scheduled for the foundation part of that repair to be done on the 21st of May. The tuck pointing on the interior of the courtyard will be done the first week of June, as well as the 2 other areas on the east side of the high school. And Suffering Glass is going to work with us for the removal of the storefront so that we can get bobcats in and out through the into the courtyard, and then put the glass back when we're finished. So that's pretty well underway, or going to be underway fairly soon. The Eugene Field roof, the installation of the new pitch metal roof at Eugene Field is on schedule to begin in first week in June and complete sometime in July, depending on the weather. All the submittals are done, all the materials are ordered, all the insurances from the contractors are in place. So that's just a matter of getting them here as soon as school's out and getting going on that job. Then I wanted to kind of mention also while I was here tonight, we held in our middle school parking lot June 14th a bus rodeo for Northeast and South Central Kansas. We had 47 drivers here from the state that participated. We had 4 from our group that qualified and participated. We came in, Mark McCall came in number 1 out of the 47. Chris Krell, another bus driver, came in number 2. And then we had a couple other guys that kind of finished in the middle of the pack. But even that, it was only like 10 or 15 points down from the very best. So we was real proud of those guys. They did a good job. Those 2 guys have qualified, but they have a state rodeo in Salina in June that we're sending those 2 guys to represent Ottawa, Kansas. So we was real proud of those guys. And the rest of my summer work orders, we got everything in from all the administrators. Got them to me by the 1st of April. I've got them all kind of figured out what we're doing. We got a lot of work planned, a lot of painting and stuff to be done this summer throughout the whole school district. And I think we're going to have a very busy summer and hopefully get a lot of work done. So, any questions on anything?
I've never been to a bus rodeo. Do those guys wear spurs and chaps, or how do they?
You have to have a cowboy hat,
Yeah,
and a cowboy belt.
Oh, there you
no,
go.
I just. But no, they did a great job. I was really surprised, and Larry Bluthart from the state of Kansas, which is the head guy of transportation in the state of Kansas, was here, and he was very impressed with our facilities, and he would like to do it. Us host it again next year because of how it worked out. So that was real good. There was a lot of guys from the state representatives was here. So
Actually, I did have one question, and this happened before I was on. How much were we spending on the Eugene Field roof?
that project was $165,000,
Okay.
and that's just for the pitched area. It's not nothing to do with the flat roof yet.
Right.
Okay. Anything else?
Did you do the bus practice any? Did you try to do that on
I cannot reveal that.
a? I wondered where we were, Richard. Tell them congratulations.
Thank you, Richard. 4.02, board reports. Does anyone have a board report this evening?
I actually have two.
Okay.
ORC meeting last Wednesday. There's going to be a new program. I think you'll see it in the papers and et cetera. But it's called Health Monsters, and it's for the age group 10 to 13, and it has to do with diet, exercise, eating properly, et cetera. And so they're pretty excited about adding that to their choices. They're working on a new ORC slogan. They feel like this one that they have, Get Up, Get Active, or whatever it is, was kind of a copied one from someone else. So they're trying to figure out a new one. They're going to have a contest, and from everyone, kids and adults, and then the winner will get like a free pool pass or something to that effect. So they're working on that. They made a big decision. I guess it's been kind of the history of the ORC not to charge church league, baseball, softball, whatever, but they've decided to do that. They're charging kids to belong to leagues and those particular church groups not, and they kind of thought that was a little bit backward, so they are going to start charging now. It was Brian Sharp's last meeting. And then there's a lot of people, different organizations writing grants for ORC for different things, but they're running into a problem with the 501c3, getting it up and going so they can get going. And so there is a problem with that because they can't get if they're not backed or whatever, if it's not all on a row, they can't write the grant or can't get it approved. And so they're kind of at a wall on that one. Okay, that's basically ORC. Eugene Field Site Council. It was last Tuesday, working on a new vision statement. They have their preliminary reading scores in, which were pretty good. They have finished math, but they hadn't at that time. They were happy about the new modular coming, the double modular, so they could have a new computer lab. They were excited about that. And something that I thought was really neat, they have a student with a lot of health issues, serious health issues. They took up, I don't know, PTO maybe, someone decided to sell bracelets before and after school, and they earned over $500 to help that child's family. Just kind of an extra activity. So I thought that was a neat thing. And that's it.
Marge, one question on the 501c3, since they are owned in a governmental relationship between the school district and the city can write grants, and we can write grants, why do they need 501c3 status since aren't they quasi-governmental?
I don't know the
Brandon,
problem.
In fact, I think they're actually setting up a separate, or maybe already have set up a separate foundation to accept donations. So, and I don't know why either, but,
That's
'Cause
the
I would-
problem, the donation part, and
yeah.
Because, I mean, I thought governments can and school districts can accept grants and
Oh,
donations,
yeah.
so.
I don't know, but I know it's a big, like, stop sign. They can't go
Yeah.
on until they get it.
Hmm.
And you're that rep, aren't you, on that,
Yeah,
on the RC part, that part?
on the team.
Yeah, on teaming,
Mm-hmm.
uh-huh.
March, did you go to KASB Workers' Comp?
It's next,
It's next.
it's
okay.
Saturday.
I was just curious to see
No,
if we
it's
had
Saturday.
any news there yet. I haven't heard anything.
No,
so, okay.
I will go
Okay.
and let you know. We only meet, not the whole KSB board, just the Workman's
Workers,
Comp
yeah.
board. And so, yeah, I'll let you know. I
Okay.
called Liz because I thought I'd missed it or something. But no, I hadn't, and I will be there, and then I'll report to you.
All right.
Thank you, Marge.
Mhm.
No other board reports this evening? All right, then we'll move on to 4.03, which is the superintendent report.
We are in the process of going through and, ending the budget. We're far from closing it out, but getting next year's purchases, doing what we can there, and starting to estimate some carryovers. I think we're going to be in pretty good shape. A lot of the projects that we've been talking about and paying for in what I've asked or told you about, several different options of where we could expend those. I don't think we're going to end up taking everything out of capital outlay. There's some other funds that we will be able to use. So I think our balance in capital outlay will probably be a little higher than what I projected. I think the 1.5, I believe, is what it was. So we'll be going through that process, getting you more information. Probably the next meeting, we will have a report on some projected balances and continue that. Nothing new on school finance. Dale Dennis, made the comment, he was kind of optimistic too that schools would see something, so an increase. So I'm still optimistic about that. I don't think we'll be making cuts or the legislators make any cuts, so that part is optimistic. The OWIT program, I had reported that Greenbush is dropping their sponsorship or being the lead agency for that. So we're in the process of trying to find someone to take that over. I spoke to Lawrence last Thursday or Friday about the possibility of the program that they run extending down to Franklin County and doing that. They met this afternoon. I haven't heard. She's going to let me know tomorrow. And at 4 o'clock tomorrow, then I have a meeting. The Early Childhood Coalition of Franklin County meets tomorrow at 4, and we'll talk about some options. Hopefully Lawrence will do that. We're going to talk to, look at other things. ECAN's a possibility, OFCD, not OFCD, your organization. Who do you work for, Dave?
COF.
COF, maybe. We're going to look at those options and see what's out there. But Lawrence is already running that program in Douglas County, and if they would come down, I think it'd be a good fit, but they may say no. Summer institutes, we have 26 elementary teachers that are going to get together, several from each building. They're going to meet on May 18th and talk about MTSS, the review of that, what kind of staff development needs for 2012, 2013. High school has 22 people meeting. They're going to meet for 2 days talking about MTSS curriculum, and the middle school has 24. So we're going to be using, we budgeted last year for MTSS in-service, and I think this is really going to make a big difference in starting next year, where we have that time to wrap up and make some plans to start next year. Kindergarten roundup, we had the last session at the board office, the carryover students, and we have 164 students that rounded up. And using the formula that I've used in the past, I would, project 184 students. That would be adding 20 that didn't come to roundup. I think every year we do a better job of getting the word out and actually rounding up kids to come. So the number we've been using for some looking at different scenarios is 200. I don't think we'll have 200. I think 184 is going to be real close, or 180 ballpark range there. So I think our kindergarten classes next year are going to be fine just with the 9 sections, but time will tell. That's pretty much it for my report. Let me do say on, oh gosh, May 28th, I believe that's right, the date, we will not meet that day. And what we'll have to do, I mean, is decide if we need a meeting that week or not. So the first meeting in May, we'll have that discussion and see where we are, and may not, you know, I mean, that's a holiday, so we won't meet then, and if we do need to meet, it may be a different time, but just to give you that heads up.
All right. Moving on to 5, policies, contracts, bids, and estimates. 5.01, approve the math curriculum for the OMS. Kathleen Mackey.
At the middle school, we've been working during our PLC time throughout the year on Common Core standards. And I know you all know that's happening, it's coming, and it's, you know, coming faster than we can believe. They did add a few questions to each test this year, some Common Core questions, so we've kind of, you know, see that happening. And in fact, even though we're going to continue to take the Kansas assessment for the next 2 years, beginning next year, the reports will come to us in terms of Common Core standards. So we've spent a lot of time sort of with the process of familiarizing ourselves with the Common Core standards for middle school math, and then we created a chart and try to determine which things were we teaching now, what were the changes going to be, kind of a crosswalk document of sorts. The state has told us they're not going to do that crosswalk document, so we try to do it for ourselves. What are we teaching now? Where are we teaching it? What's new? Those kinds of things. And it became very apparent to us that a lot of the changes were really occurring in that middle school area. A lot of compaction is happening in that area where we're going to have to make changes, and the materials we have on hand simply don't have the information that we need in order to do that. They're just not addressing the Common Core standards. A lot of changes in the statistics area and a lot of information about geometry that we're not doing currently. So we know that change is underway, and we want to make that. We can't just make that jump in 1 year. We're going to have to do it sort of over a period of time. So that's why we began looking at new materials. Talked to Mr. Catt about that, and he said get some new materials in, see what they look like. So we ordered sample materials from the 3 major textbook companies and spent a lot of time with all of them. We had representatives come during our PLC time. Their math specialists came, visited with us, showed us the materials, what's new, what's happening. And pretty much what we found out that became very apparent was that 2 of the companies have done sort of a retrofit of sorts. And that is they've taken their old textbook, they've interjected some lessons that they even label CCSS, as if, you know, that was going to make the whole book special. And they're there, but Glencoe, we found, really did start with the Common Core standards and start a new textbook from the ground up. We then spent time, after we'd talked to the representatives and kind of seen them, all their materials, we put together a rubric and we compared similar lessons from each of the textbook companies so that we could see what did they look like, a similar lesson, a similar unit. And again, became very apparent that one company we felt like really stood out among the rest, and that was Glencoe. The text is a different presentation than we're accustomed to. It is in the format of what they call a work text, and that is it is a consumable. It's a contract for a period of 7 years. The cost is about the same as buying a hardback book. It's just that you get new textbooks every year. So students will take notes right in the work text. They'll do their assignments right in the work text. And, you know, they're perforated. You tear them out and hand them in. The real advantage is that we will always have the most up-to-date materials. As they change, this is really a moving target. Nobody's really seen the new Common Core assessment. You know, they're still writing it. And so what Glencoe says is as they make those changes, that they'll continue to make changes in the material. So the nice thing about this is, and really what 100% of the staff that we were working with felt was that advantage is probably the biggest advantage, and that is that we'll always have the most up-to-date edition year after year. So you've got, I think we sent you the link to those materials. It's also all available online. Students will each have a login. They'll have access to the entire book online. A lot of the other resources are available to them at home, at school, wherever. And again, they're continuing to add to that. We know this is changing. And so we felt like they had maybe a jump on the system as far as some of the technology and having all of the materials that will be ever-changing.
I noticed when I was on the website just a minute for the student edition, and one of the things when you bring it up, it says my assignment is. So will the teachers be able to have those assignments loaded for the students so
Yes.
they can, and moms and dads can get on there and look and see and?
That's right. Right. On the teacher side, they'll have they'll actually be able to download their students' names, and then they'll be able to upload the assignments each week.
And so they're planning to do that, I hope.
We're going to get the training as soon as possible so that we'll be able to do that.
So we've got constant feedback on what is and what isn't done and all those kinds of things.
Right.
And
I don't know that parents, I don't know that they get the feedback from that source.
Do they get feedback that something's done or not, or that it's still missing, or they don't get that?
That would be asking teachers to keep 2 grade books.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, is it on that? Is the possibility exist that it's there, or is it just the assignments?
We can put in the assignment, but not the grade.
Okay, that's what I wanted to find out.
Right. No, that's not for the grade.
But the assignments will be there. So if you're looking at the grade and it says assignment 17, whatever that is, you can pull that up out
And
of the
say,
list
this is what you were
this
supposed
is
to
what
do
you were
on
supposed to
Tuesday.
do. Okay.
You know, everybody wishes, even from Glencoe, they say, well, if all of your students had iPads, then we could,
Yeah, yeah, of course.
well, we don't have iPads. Sorry. Just
Just
thought I'd put that little push in.
Just the ability to be able to look up the assignment without having to go hunt down a textbook and just bring it up on the internet and say, oh, this was the assignment you're supposed to do.
Right.
Okay.
Any other questions?
The changes with the Common Core standard, are they expected to do more advanced stuff now in the middle school levels? Is that the change you're seeing? Or
It's a lot of it is simply a change. I suppose some of us would say it's more advanced. It's not material we've been teaching at the middle level before, and some of the material, especially some of the statistics material, is simply material that wasn't in the Kansas standards. So it hasn't been taught. And so therefore we didn't really have the background knowledge. We haven't been doing that. And so having the materials to do that with was really important. In the old materials, it just wasn't there.
But they're doing some geometry also now in the middle school levels?
Right.
That wasn't there before, was it?
There's an intro to geometry at almost every grade level. Actually, 8th grade doesn't have a lot. Pythagorean theorem is probably the only Kansas standard for 8th grade that we would classify as geometry, but there'll be more geometry concepts being taught at every grade level than we're currently doing. So there's a change.
How do you see the correlation between this and the kids coming up from everyday math?
Marge, I wish I knew that answer. Everyday Math has done a retrofit. They have interjected some lessons this year, and the teachers have tried to incorporate them along with the regular everyday math lessons. Both elementary and high school will be up for adoption next year, and so we're trying to look at a way, because we feel like this middle school, the research, and again, everybody feels like they've had buy-in. When 100% of the people who are going to teach from the material have chosen the material, it's a really good feeling. Yes. We know that's impossible at the elementary level to have everybody have that buy-in. But how we're going to look at that, I don't know.
Okay.
You know, we know that the transition next year, we're hoping to do some meetings this summer so that we can sort of put together a calendar. We can't teach this new material from front to back the very first year because kids won't have had some of the background material they need. A real easy example would be division of fractions is going to be expected for 5th graders to do. Well, it's, you know, so in the 6th grade book just expects kids to know how to do that already. Well, we're going to, you know, we know we're going to have to make, especially these first few years, a transition timeline for ourselves. What do we expect, and which things are we going to be able to incorporate? During the next 2 years, our students are also going to be taking the Kansas assessment. So some of the things that are not in the Common Core standards are still going to be tested by the Kansas test. It's a little tricky. Yeah, I shake my head every day.
Does anybody else have any other questions?
The 43,000 is the software cost. What is the annual consumables then?
That's everything.
This is everything for the
That's
whole 4
everything.
years.
That's a contract for 7 years, and during that 7 years, then we get all of the consumables as well as the online access for students. And so again, you know, we felt like that's really about the same cost as a hardback book. You know, $70 hardback book or a $10 a year contract, which is pretty nice.
And the other two companies are both the hardback books, the traditional books?
They're traditional books with Common Core lessons interjected. I feel like both of those companies are bound to write a new textbook sometime in the next 2 or 3 years, but they don't have it available now.
Anybody else have any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. 5.02 technology updates. Andy Price?
That was an action.
Yeah, we need a motion.
Oh, I thought we were going to do it later on.
No, if we can, we need to get them so we can get the teachers on board.
Oh, okay.
Ready.
I just
So-
thought it was further down the
Oh,
agenda.
I see.
All right. So we are going to take action on this tonight. Does anyone?
President, I'd move that we approve the math curriculum for OMS as presented.
Second?
It's been moved by Bill and seconded by David that we approve the math curriculum as recommended by the OMS staff. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Okay, now 5.02 technology updates from Mr. Price.
Okay, one of the biggest things that we're working on right now is trying to get wireless in all the buildings, so we can do things like the iPads and bring some other things in. Right now, we currently have Wi-Fi throughout the high school. It was done 4 years ago. It's all Cisco product, and we spent about $80,000 for 34 access points, and we're also paying about $5,000 a year SmartNet, which is Cisco's insurance on those access points, not just the access points, but on the controllers themselves. So it's a good product, it's working well, but it's just really expensive. Cisco prices themselves out of a lot of things, and a lot of people are competing with them now. So what we're looking at right now is a new company called Meraki, and it has a little bit different way of doing things. They put their controller out on the cloud, out on a data center, you know, in multiple places throughout the United States. So you sort of rent their controller, you buy the access points, and then you rent the controllers. So unlike the traditional way of doing it, the way Cisco did it, you had to buy a controller that would fit how many access points you were going to buy, had to predict that. Then if you grew, you had to buy another controller. You had to buy insurance on the controller. So now you pay a rental fee based on how many access points you have. So if you buy 5 access points, you pay the rental fee times 5, and if you have 100, you pay it times 100. So what I would like to propose that we do, and this is still in the works, hopefully by next board meeting I'll have a quote ready for you to look at. But I want to look at going to Meraki here and buying the access points. The access points are going to be about $500 each to purchase the access points. And then you rent the controller. The Cisco, we put too much money into that, and it's still too new to wipe that out, so I want to leave the high school in place, but put this Meraki access points at the middle school and the 3 elementaries, and you know, buildings like this could probably use 1 access point, and it can all be controlled then from that controller, which means they can be load balanced where you have 2 access points and the kids will, computers will come on and be load balanced against them both, and you can add guest access, so somebody can come in, you can give them guest access, but you can throttle that bandwidth way down. What's really neat about these is they're the first one that really works specifically with iPads. You can actually send applications through the access points to the iPad. So when an iPad connects, as long as it's been connected before and been set up to one of our iPads, when it connects, it'll automatically get the applications that it's supposed to have that we purchased through Apple or iTunes. So it has a lot of really neat features. The rent on those is about $135 per year per access point if you do a 1 year, but if you do a 5-year plan, it's about $400 for 5 years, which is pretty decent. It's a pretty big price break to commit to 5 years. So the difference is there's no hidden cost. You don't have the insurance. You don't have the SmartNet. You don't have all that stuff. You don't have any service fees. Once you pay that, you have all the support. You know, it's out on their data center. If that controller happens to go down, it's all backed up and just automatically shifts to a data center somewhere else. So you pay for the access points, you own those, and then you rent the use of the controller. And then when the Cisco at the high school has ran its course, we can just add on to what we have on the Meraki. And if we had a 5-year plan, then we can just get if it's a 2 years from now or 3 years from now, you can match that up and just get a 2 or 3 year plan so that they all end at the same time. Kind of add them and drop them as you need to. So before our next meeting, I want to make sure to have an estimate of how many access points we need. I'm thinking 60 on the high end will get us the middle school and all the elementaries, all the buildings that are left. But we're going to get maps and kind of do the math on that and figure out exactly how many we need. And you can always buy a few extra. And then the other thing too, you don't really need insurance on the access points. You just buy 2 or 3 extra on your shelf, and that's your insurance. Meraki offers a lifetime guarantee on their access points. So if one fails, you take one off the shelf, plug it in, you send the other one back, and within 2 weeks they'll send you the new one. So they say that, I said, how long is your lifetime? Because Cisco has lifetime warranties too. They decide how long that life is. And Meraki said they haven't established anything, so as long as you own it and you're still using their controller, and it breaks, they'll replace it.
Excellent.
So
what's the footprint on one of those?
Well, and that's the other thing too. They gave us an access point, just got it today, and we're going to take it around the buildings and try it. And it is interesting that different types of access points will run the batteries down faster of the laptops that they're using. But as far as how much bandwidth it takes to go to the controllers, is that what you're talking about?
No, just footprint
how big? It really depends on, you know, some of these schools and their brick walls. I mean, if a building like this, we put the Meraki on the other corner of the building where my desk is, and we can reach it here. But I mean, it's a low signal. But a building like this, I feel like you could put one in the middle of the building and probably cover the whole building. But so it's going to be more of a matter of how many computers are going to connect to them at the same time. You wouldn't be able to connect 60 computers to that access point. So a building like this that doesn't have a lot of users, you would be good with one access point. But other buildings, you want to kind of put them in their pockets where you're going to have the access points. And the brick walls in the middle school and stuff like that are what are going to cause a problem. So we're going to take our sample around and hook it up in different places, and then we can take a device that just monitors that signal and walk around and try to figure that out. Yeah.
The company you're talking about, Meraki, is that like a reliable company that's going to be there long term?
I know, yeah.
Kind of never heard of it before.
Yeah, they're Meraki. I hadn't really heard of them either. We've gone to some presentations. They have 2,000 customers throughout the United States, but they don't have any schools in Kansas. And when I found that out, I said, well, you know, you're going to have to give us a price break because we're going to be demoing to other schools in Kansas. And every time I said that, they're like, oh yeah, no problem. So it would probably be a little bit cheaper than this because we're going to try to sell it as beta site a little bit. But it's not really beta to them. It's beta to Kansas schools. Mm-hmm. There's schools in Missouri. I called some other schools around the country and asked them about it, and they all really had raving reviews about it. And one school in particular had a lot of iPads, and they were using that feature to push out to the iPads. So I've called 2 or 3 schools that have been really happy with it and have a couple other emails out. But you're right, I worry about that when no other Kansas schools has had it yet. But there is, throughout the United States, they have a lot of customers. So.
It's just part of their marketing.
Yeah. So the other thing I wanted to kind of mention with that, along with SmartNet, if you're not familiar with SmartNet, it's the Cisco insurance, and in the last few years, it looks like we've been paying insurance on every single Cisco device that we have in this district. You know, every single switch and our phones, and I don't know if we were paying on all the access points, but just about every Cisco device, and that was adding up to about, last year it was $33,000 we were paying just for insurance to Cisco. And I went through and in my opinion, the switches that are out on the edge, you know, that are actually connecting to the computers, if you can get 1 or 2 extras of those fairly inexpensively, you can get them off eBay or things like that, and that is your insurance. So we canceled all the insurance on those edge things, but we want to keep the insurance on our firewall, our core switch, and, you know, our things that it would be really bad if they went down. But on the things that we can quickly fix that would only affect a few people, we're not going to pay the insurance on that anymore. So that cut our SmartNet down from 33 to 21,000 for next year. And then, of course, the next thing that we're moving to is the social guidelines. We are trying to get Facebook and Twitter specifically out there, and just wanted to kind of talk about how we're using it to promote our kids and the schools and activities, sports, things that are going on. Not really as a way. We're not trying to make it to where they're using Facebook in school. I mean, right when we kind of announced that we were doing this as a beta, everybody's, oh, that means you have to unblock Facebook now. And not at all what we're trying to do. We're trying to use it to promote and put things out to the community and promote how our kids are doing. And, you know, as an example, the basketball coach could type something on his phone after the game that we won the game by 10 points or whatever, and people that are following him could see that on their phones or on their Twitter or Facebook accounts. So that's what we're after, trying to promote things, but not really trying to be. I wouldn't even recommend teachers being friends with their students on Facebook. I would say that's a bad idea, in my opinion, not to even do that. So now, if you wanted to have a Facebook or a Twitter account and the kids followed you, or Facebook, the terminology is they like what you're putting out, then they can follow you. You can do an update, something about your curriculum, something's going on in class. They can see that update, but that's not the same as being friends. They don't see your friends, and they don't see everything. They just see the things you're putting out in that specific place. So that's where we're looking for that, and there's a pretty lengthy set of well-done guidelines to try to improve. Greenbush helped us put these together.
Is this an action item?
This is an action
I
item.
want to get that passed so we can start that process.
I move that we approve the presented board policy on social media guidelines
I would read them all to you, but it would be here one.
as presented.
There is a specific section about employee to student relations.
I'll second that.
It's been moved by David, seconded by Dennis, that we approve the social media guidelines as proposed by the technology staff. Is there any further discussion?
One of the questions in here says, would you feel comfortable if your content was read by your colleagues, your students, parents, or the school board? So let's just be mindful of that, folks.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
So Bill, will you friend me?
No. I'm not on Facebook.
Okay.
Are you also going to discuss the computer purchases?
Yes. And then we did get 2 quotes back on computer purchases for the amount of 436 desktops. We got quotes from CDW and High Touch. High Touch is a local company that we've gone with in the past, and we know their computers are good. They even sent us out a sample to make sure it was going to work for us. And they came in at the best price too. They were $400 per desktop, and we're looking at 436 of them.
And that'll cover the classroom computers in the middle school library.
Yeah, so I'll give you the breakdown real quick if you want. The middle school classrooms, 87 of those. The middle school library is 25 of those. Lincoln Elementary classrooms, which I believe we do about 4 to a classroom, is 120. Eugene Field Elementary classrooms is 64. Garfield Elementary, 89. The Juvenile Detention Center, 6. And then the Eugene Field lab, the modular lab that we're moving, is 25. And then we're adding computers to the large group rooms at Lincoln, which would be about 12, 6 on each side. And that leaves about 8 spares that we have to work with if one fails. They do have a 3-year warranty on them, so when they fail, they've always been pretty good at getting us a replacement out.
So K through 8's going to all have new computers in every classroom?
Yeah, and this is there's a rotation, and these computers are the oldest on our rotation. They're 5 years old or older.
I'll move to approve the computer purchase.
Second.
It's been moved by Dennis, seconded by David, to approve the computer purchase as recommended, the High Touch bid. Is there any further discussion?
How many at the Lincoln large rooms?
6 in each side. There's 2 large rooms. Is that-
Yes.
Yeah, 6 on each side, so 12 total.
If there's no other discussion, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Do you have anything else for us?
Didn't really have anything else unless there was any questions.
The access points on stuff, we're still getting our internet, though. You guys still get the internet through AT&T, is that correct?
Yeah.
And is that, I thought I read something about that there was a concern about the speed and the bandwidth
Yeah,
from
when I
them?
got here, I was kind of concerned about the speed, especially the upload. Teresa, I don't know if she had mentioned this to anyone, was taking her 2 hours to upload the board video, the Monday night board video to YouTube. When I did speed test, the upload especially was really bad. So we're paying for about a 40 meg by 40 meg, and our download was close to that, but our upload was about a third of a meg. So I did some messing around with they have the same firewall that I've worked with before, so I messed around with the firewall, and there was a configuration problem on the firewall. Basically, long story short, the inside port on the firewall was set to 100 meg. It was connected to our filter, which is set to 1,000, so that mismatch was causing problems, especially download or upload speed. So fixed that, and immediately it was no problem. Her last upload took about an hour. The 2-day upload took an hour. So,
That's good.
So it's not an AT&T
so,
issue,
no,
it was just
I plugged my computer straight into AT&T's internet, and it's perfectly fine. So it's expensive, but it's about what DS3s cost. We need some competition. We need a good cable company or something because, but they're not overcharging us. They're charging us what typically you pay for DS3 in the country. It's just that if we had a cable company or something like that could drive that down a little bit, it would help. But
And have they made the switch to the UVerse yet, or does that make a difference on anything like that?
I don't know, but probably that would just be for like home use.
Okay.
I don't know if UVerse is available in Ottawa or not.
I think it
Yeah,
is.
it is.
But they put the whole new box in there at 15th or
It's
something.
in parts of the town.
Yeah.
Okay.
It will not be in the whole town. It's in selected neighborhoods where the route goes.
I don't think it's in line.
No.
Hopefully
A lot of
things
these
will get
questions are
better,
personal
but
because my internet stinks at my home.
the internet that we're paying for, we are getting. It's just I wish we
Okay.
could find it better.
Gotta have internet out in the country.
I might as well. Ours is slower than dial-up, but. All right, thank you. So we're to 5.05, discuss elementary class options.
What we need to do is talk about some of the class size things that we have here. I had already talked about kindergarten roundup, and the first 2 scenarios have 200 estimated kindergartners, and I think we'll be closer to the 180. If we had 200 kindergarten students, we would have an average of 22.2 in kindergarten, which is at the upper level. I seriously don't think we'll have 200 kindergartners this year. I think we'll be considerably lower than that. If you look at scenario 2 on the options, this is what we've been discussing, and what this would do would add a first grade section at Lincoln. That's the numbers with this big kindergarten class we currently have, trying to transition them into first grade. Feel like that is the biggest need right now would be to keep those numbers down. And scenario 2, if you look, moves Garfield or Eugene Field's kindergarten section to the first grade there. And then same way with Lincoln, we would move their extra kindergarten section to first grade there. Now, the other thing, to be able to put the additional 5th grade at Lincoln, currently we have in the district 8 sections because Lincoln only had 3, Garfield 3, Eugene Field 2. And with those numbers, the bigger classes coming down, again, we feel we need to add a section of 5th grade next year at Lincoln. To do that, one of the things that we need to consider then is moving the preschool or finding another place and moving kids that are in first grade to other buildings. Right now, what I'm going to recommend, and if any of the principals want to add, they sure can, but that would be to move the preschool that we have at Lincoln right now into the other side of the modular that would be at Eugene Field. And that would free up space and give us a little flexibility at Lincoln then. The preschool, they attend 4 days a week, 2 different sections, a morning and afternoon section. Pros and cons to both of them, but that's one of the options that we're looking at. The last 2 options here, where it has scenario 3 and 4, when we talked about another great big class coming in, I would just put an X through those right now, because there's no way that I see that we'll have 230 kindergarten students. The first option, where it has, or scenario 1, it does have leaving, not adding a teacher. The second scenario, we would add 1 staff member. Scenario 1, we would not add any staff members, and you can see the breakdown of the numbers there. First grade would average about 23 students, whereas if we move the other first grade up, it'd be 20.8.
I agree with that. I mean, I think we need to keep those classes as small as we can, so. 2 students less is preferable.
Questions, concerns?
Just quick question, if you move the preschool to Eugene Field's new modular, that frees up 1 classroom,
Yes.
and then that's enough extra classrooms to cover this change?
At Lincoln?
Yeah.
Yes, because, where is Josh?
Yeah.
You can explain it probably better than I
Well,
can.
because the classroom where our current extra kindergarten in, next to the 5th grades, would become the additional 5th grade
Fifth grade,
classroom. And the preschool classroom, because of where it is on the primary end, would become kind of our floating primary extra classroom.
So it could be a first grade, a second grade, or
For kindergarten, whatever the
Depending
need
on
would
what
be.
the greatest need was.
What about playground equipment for the preschool at Eugene Field? I mean, I know what they have now, but would it be adequate for the preschool? Or would we have to add something there?
Shannon, what's,
I don't know that we would even have much space to add any. I would think what's there could be adequate just fine. It's just gonna take scheduling, so preschoolers are out there when our other kids are not. So it's just, I think, a matter of scheduling and making sure that those little guys have adequate space when there's not others around.
Okay.
I think it's more of a scheduling issue than not having.
Then the equipment issue, okay.
Riley, what time do they start?
Same time. The morning class starts at 8:05, breakfast at 7:30 and 8:05, and the afternoon class starts at 12:35.
And then we do bus, how many kids do we bus for preschool? I don't know if you know, or Richard.
This year, we have 5.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's 5 total.
What do you think about being in a modular at Eugene Field?
I think, I mean, there's some setbacks to being in a modular with the younger kids. Some are inconveniences, like having to get bundled up to go inside, where and I'm not sure where the module would be located, I assume on the north side of the building, so to get to the playground, we have to go, you know, around that way. There's, you know, as far as, and this is not just preschool, any students in there, but some safety concerns, things like tornadoes. I don't know if you've ever been in a preschool, it's kind of like herding cats through jello. But the preschoolers getting into a building on a nice day is one thing, going, you know, through a storm is a different animal. You know, in a lockdown situation, that's, again, that would be any student population, but that's the most accessible place. The fact that you open the door and you're in the classroom in a modular, there's really no way except for locking the door. I think it's not ideal, but a modular is not ideal for any class. So.
Agreed.
Is there any strategies to look at keeping the preschool at Lincoln, but then, and I know this goes against the rules, but reallocating as kids come to move the different classes to where there's a different class in that modular at Eugene instead of the preschool? I know we've always had, once you went to a school, you stay the full 5 years. Is
We
there
could
any,
move. I mean,
is
we'd
there
have to-
any way to still keep them in the facilities at Lincoln, but then repurpose the modular at Eugene for a different style class that might make it easier coming in and out?
Well, we would end up moving them, I mean, I don't know exactly what you're asking, but if we had an example of moving one of his first grade sections to Eugene Field modular, is that?
No, I was just looking at, if you look at your numbers, could you repurpose to where that extra fifth grade be at Eugene, but reassign the fifth graders, since they're gonna transition to the middle school anyway, look at where they're actually at towards Eugene Field and make that kind of like an attendance center, but maybe repurpose that to where that could be a fifth grade there, because fifth grade would be easier in a modular than a preschool.
I mean, that could happen. It would be moving, 20, what's our average there?
I mean, we got
About 20
kids scattered all over the district, and some live on South Side that goes, but with the fifth grade is one step before they go to middle school anyway. Would that be an option to still keep the facilities at Lincoln?
You could do that, yeah.
So every year though, you'd be moving 24th graders from Lincoln over, is that?
I'm just looking at an option that keeps the preschool in the facility that was designed, that has the fenced-in area and the equipment. I'm just saying, if you got a kid that moves into town, could they be restructured to go to the Lincoln? I mean, instead of Lincoln, could they go to the fifth grade at Eugene? Or, I mean, I haven't sat down and looked at the
Yeah, I know
scattergram.
what
I'm
you're
just, because I hear Briley and hear Marge's question, I just.
Understand. Yeah, I mean, anything's possible as far as moving, I mean, having a different class there, but I guess the biggest negative would be having to move that number of kids every year after they went through, wherever they are. And we kind of do that now, where actually, this late in the year, we had a family move in last week that, was there 4 students, and we ended up sending 2 to Lincoln and 2 to Field, I think, got the other 2, just because of class sizes and trying to, I mean, so yeah, we can do those things, but we'd have to basically move one full class out of Lincoln over there for next year to get that to work. But
So presently, we have 4 fifth grade classes or 3 fifth grade classes at Eugene. I mean, at Lincoln.
3.
3 currently.
3. Then once we go to 4, then it looks like by these other numbers, we'll be staying at 4 for a while.
Right.
What's that?
I mean, it looks like the
Yeah,
numbers
the numbers
gonna-
are all 200,
Yeah,
close to 200, yeah.
So then we would have to be moving 20 kids that's
Every
been there
year.
for however many years, then that last year they get to
Yeah,
move.
if that was what the
Or they
direction.
have to move and whatever. Yeah. That is not a very good decision to have to make.
It's not a very
Whether you
tasteful option.
do that or put the preschool out there. Because I understand about herding cats in Jello.
Yeah.
I've done
It's a
it.
pretty good way to describe it, actually.
Yes, actually, it fits real well. Yeah.
I mean, I know we're kind of, none of these are real great decisions, but is this what Josh and, is this what you guys are recommending as the administrators of these buildings, the best option with what we're faced with?
Well, I'm in the same position where I don't like to move kids after they've been there for 4 years. And then their fifth grade year say, oh, I'm sorry, I have to go somewhere else for 1 year, and then you're going to middle school. I don't like that proposition very much. And I'm not really seeing another way to get Josh an extra fifth grade without doing something. So either it's move some of those first graders and reallocate them a little bit, so he can still have his fifth grade, or move the preschool. I mean, none of the options are very ideal.
I've got two questions. One is it set in stone that the preschool has to be out in the modular? I mean, could another class be in the modular? And
We
two,
discussed that, yeah.
okay, and two, Josh, what's it gonna do to you to have another first grade class, to have 5 sections of first grade?
I think it does a couple things. I mean, right now, our specials staff, and they've already been working on some different options. If our special staff stays exactly how it is, it does put one more class for them to slow down. Currently, though, we've been dealing with that 5 sections of kindergarten, as it is. So, I mean, they've at least got a little bit of experience as far as what it looks like with the 5th section. They've also learned from some of the problems of having a 5th section of grade level there. So they've come with a couple of options as to how to rework the schedule. We're already with that big group of kindergartners in a tough spot as far as the size of the lunchroom and things like that. But some of that, Marcia and I have already started looking at some options there too. So really where I'm at, we can make any of the options work, but we really need a decision one way or the other, just to be able to start, really finalizing schedule and making some decisions.
Will you have to add an extra lunch period?
It's a good possibility. It's probably something we would have looked at anyway, though, with the way we're set up. Putting kindergarten in, putting 4 sections, forgetting the extra section, putting 4 sections of kindergarten in with another grade levels is kind of tough, just because their expectation for lunch is completely different from the other grade levels. So when you put them in and they get noisy already, so Marcia and I had already started talking about an possible extra lunch period even before that.
Remind me, was that building designed for 5 sections?
Four sections.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I just want,
4 across the board.
yeah.
And Bill, going back to your question, we did talk about putting another grade level in that modular.
Yeah.
And then leaving the computer lab in the preschool or whatever, the first grade, whatever that other classroom was going to be. We did talk about leaving that inside. One of the concerns was the wiring of the building and how difficult that was going to be for computer lab issues and whatnot. So, I don't know all those technical issues. I don't know anything about that, what would be best for.
If we
for
did,
that computer lab, but
yeah.
that was one thing we had discussed.
Well, I guess it was a
If wireless
power
goes
issue,
through,
but if it's wireless, it wouldn't be an issue, right?
If the wireless goes through, we could put the computers anywhere you have electricity.
And as far as power goes, Richard, I think we decided that wasn't going to be a huge obstacle. I mean, we did it on the other side. So, I mean, that's a.
That is an option.
Yeah, I'd feel more comfortable with those preschoolers in the building in case of a lockdown, and in the building in case of weather, and in the building where they could be closer to playground.
What we look at, Shannon, out there?
I'm sorry.
What did we look at having?
We had talked about putting 2nd grade back out in one modular and then 3rd grade in the other modular, and leaving kindergarten and 1st grade kind of down in one wing of the building.
Yeah.
That would be primary, as well as that's where the preschool would go if they were in the building. And then currently, in the other wing, we have our library, our computer lab, and then right now it's a 3rd grade room, but that room would probably become the computer lab. We kind of have that whole library, media kind of wing, and then our 4th and 5th grade will still continue upstairs.
So 1 3rd grade would be in and 1 would be out?
Both would be out.
Both would be
Could
out.
be.
Right now, our 3rd grades are already split. One is down by 1st grade and one is down by the computer lab. So this would put them back together if we did decide to put them out in the modular unit. And then preschool would be able to go down in primary, and that other 3rd grade wouldn't be allowed to turn into a computer lab, so.
So you'd have the 2nds and the 3rds out in the modulars?
Correct. Right now, the 2nd grade is already out there.
So then you're putting 3rds out on the other side, set of modulars. You got primaries in the building.
Probably makes the most sense.
And I'm pretty sure nobody here wants to be using modulars at all.
No.
In fact, I think we had made a promise about that
Yes,
a
we
few years
did.
back,
We
but
sure
we were
did.
probably drunk that night.
Maybe you were.
But, yeah, I may have been. I don't
Keeping
know.
those secrets, Bill.
Sounds like we need a bond issue, though. And
That's what we need.
anyhow, we need to start looking hard at our future facilities needs, and you know, we may end up with an elementary school right down here on Ash Street where the high school currently sits and build a new high school because that's sexier and it sells better. But I think, yeah, we need to start doing some hard talks about that.
Yep, I meet again Friday with the architect and the next board meeting, and he should be here and have some things ready to discuss, so.
Good deal.
So what are your thoughts to kind of give them an idea here of what direction you're leaning or what we need to do?
I don't see that we have a whole lot of choice. I think you almost have to go with that scenario too. It keeps class sizes down. I can't abide those bigger classes at first grade level. And